Welcome to Shom Machshava on the Daf. We're holding in Zevachim Daf Mem Aleph. The Gemara Amud Beis brings a little bit of Gadol in the middle of the hard sugyas that we have in these Dafim. And the Gemara says, what is the reason that your seris shtei kloyos, the details of the imurim, are mentioned in Par Kohen Mashiach, but not in Par Hel Dov Shel Tzibur? So the Gemara says, Moshe lemelech bosov adom shezom alo yahavoy. There's a king who got upset on someone he loves. So he reduced his bad statement because he loves him so much. So Rashi explains that Am Yisrael as a nation is more chaviv t'HaKadosh Baruch Hu than one individual, even though he's the Kohen Gadol. And therefore, we didn't speak so much all the details that have to do with the korban of Am Yisrael. We much more elaborate by Kohen Mashiach. The next Gemara, the Gemara says, what is the reason that the word Paroiches HaKodesh is mentioned Par Kohen Mashiach, but not Par Hel Dov Shel Tzibur? So says the Gemara, when the Medina, the people of the country, rebelled against the king, if it's only a minority, so the group surrounding the king is still there. But if the majority they rebelled, so his group is not there. So when the Kohen Mashiach does a chait, it still says Paroiches HaKodesh. But when the Tzibur does a chait, then it does not mention Paroiches HaKodesh. That's the way Rashi learns the sugya, and it seems to be a little bit of a contradiction. Because in the beginning, the Gemara says that the Tzibur is more of a Ohav of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's why we don't go into detail with everything that has to do with their korban. But in the end, we say when the Tzibur does the chait, that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu leaves. When the Kohen Mashiach does the chait, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still there. But if the Tzibur is doing it, it's already the majority, HaKadosh Baruch Hu leaves. So what is worse, when the Tzibur is doing the chait, or when the Kohen Mashiach does the chait? So because of this question, the Maharsha over here in Chidushei HaGodos is the first Maharsha in Masechet Zevachim. There's no Chidushei Halachos Maharsha in Zevachim, only Chidushei HaGodos. And the first Maharsha in the Masechet is over here, and he comes to argue in Rashi. And he says what the Gemara says before, that when his loved one is choite, so he is miyad b'sichoinoi, the loved one is not a tzibur, is the Kohen Mashiach. And that's why the Torah is giving all the details how to make the korban more meshubach, more mehudar, so in order to reduce the sirachet, meaning even though Par Hel Dover also needs to have these imurim, but we're not going into so much detail because we care more with the Kohen Mashiach than the tzibur, so to speak, and therefore there we have more details of how the korban needs to be. So we have over here a few ways to answer the question of the Maharsha. They all go in a similar direction. The Netziv over here in the Mirei Misadeh, he says that Adarabah, because Am Yisrael is so chaviv, because Am Yisrael it's so dear to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu has been mad b'sechoinai, like Rashi says, and that's why when they rebel, it's more effective, and they lose the kedusha, because they're so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're so dear to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So as if their Aveira is more effective, his Aveira has more ashpah because they're so close. The Yun Yaakov wants to say it differently. He says the pshat is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the mitzvah, when he said, I'm going to give you the par, that was before anybody did an Aveira. So there he's giving an eitzah, how to fix it. He's telling him before they did anything wrong, he's saying it to Am Yisrael or more or Havoy, he loves them more than the Kohen Mashiach, so he gives them more details. But once Am Yisrael went and did the Aveira, that is actually making something so bad that the Kedusha leaves. So the idea is similar. Am Yisrael, their Aveira is so bad because they're loved by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the reason why miyad b'sichoinoi is before they did anything wrong. And the Ben Yoyada brings another way to say it. He says that it's a mashal for a king, that he said anytime a person does something wrong, he's going to have to come in front of the king. When his lover comes, so then the king leaves the room, so the lover won't be embarrassed. So over here the same thing. The tzibur is called the Avash HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's where the Torah details more how to fix it. But when they do the chait, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, leaves the place in order not to embarrass them. That they're not doing an Aveira in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to add over here what the Noide B'Yudo in Madura Tanina or Chaim Siman Kuf Zayin says, which is something which is clear from Divrei Mekubalim, but it's interesting to see it in a Sefer Halacha. The Noide B'Yudo comes to explain that what does it mean when you have Shechina? Says he brings the Rambam, Lashon Rambam. He learns from the Rambam that Shechina is a combination of Or and Hashgacha. It's the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there is Mashgiach looking upon us. When Am Yisrael are doing Ritzoyne Shalmakim, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light is with us, and He's Mashgiach in us. And his, so to speak, his main focus is on Am Yisrael. As the Pasuk says, Ufanisi Aleichem. Rashi says over there, Ifne mikol hasokai l'shalem scharchem. I'll be focused on you. But when Am Yisrael sin, so then the Shechina leaves Am Yisrael to a certain degree. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not focused so much on being ashpah to Am Yisrael. And that's what it means over here in the Gemara, that when Am Yisrael chaytes, so they lose the Kedusha, they lose the Shechina within them. And this goes back to the same idea. That because Am Yisrael is so loved by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that's why it's so effective how their Avera is mashpia, because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking at them and focusing on them, and when the Avera comes, that stops. Anyone who wants to sponsor or to join the Shra Machshava Shiurim, please email shramachshava@gmail.com.